you're having a good day. I'm Ryan, and I'm going to give you some information on the US 911 system, how it works, and some history of it, and just some current issues that they have with it. So prior to 1968, in the United States, there was pretty much every city had its own 911 number, but it was a different number everywhere. So in 1968, the Federal Communications Commission and American Telephone and Telegraph Company, which is now AT&T, they had a meeting and they determined to use the number 911 in the U.S. because it wasn't previously used for any zip codes or area codes, and it was easy and quick to dial on a rotary phone at the time. And once they determined that they'll use that, cities started implementing that after 1968, and in 1979 there was 26% of the U.S. had the 911 number in effect, and then in 1987 it was 50%, and then 1999 it was 93%, and now in 2018 it's 99.5% of the U.S. has 911 coverage. The 911, prior to the invention of cell phones, when you would use a landline, or if you use a landline today, it's much easier for the 911 center to locate you because they get your information from your bill of your cell or your landline. But currently, in 2018, 82% of the calls to any 911 centers are through cell phones. So they can get your billing address, but you're usually not at your billing address, so it's not very useful. So there's currently 3 different options that 911 centers have, and each one have a different setup. But there's phase 1, phase 2, and E911. So this is a somewhat complicated diagram of how all those systems work. So if you were to have a phase 1 911 call, you would have the phone call, go to a cell tower, and it would go to your service provider, and then it goes to a FCC, which is the Federal Communications Commission routing, and that determines where you are based off the cell tower that you called, and that routes the call to the appropriate 911 center. And if it's phase 1, then they just notify the emergency responders. But if it's a phase 2 call, then it's gonna ping back to the cell tower that you're calling from and get information from the cell phone provider and get a exact position of where you were down to 100 meters. If it's phase 1, they only get the location of the cell phone tower that you're calling from, which could be up to 5 miles away. And a lot of people think that if you ever look on your cell phone bill, there's a section that says 911 taxes. So a lot of people think that that information goes, or that money goes to fund 911 centers and the employees. But in 22 states in the U.S., none of that money goes to a 911 center. It's allocated for different expenses in the state, which is kind of pointless to the purpose of it. And due to that, there's a lot of 911 centers that have outdated equipment or not enough people. So here's a video from several different 911 centers, and due to not enough manning, they have to put people on hold.
This is 911 emergency. All operators have been released. Please remain on the line.
You have reached the Cincinnati 911 Center. Your call will be answered as soon as possible.
You have reached New Hanover County 911. We are currently experiencing high volumes of emergency calls.
You have reached 911 emergency dispatch. Do not hang up. If in danger, lay down the phone.
So in addition to 911 centers not having enough manning. They do have outdated equipment also, and some of that outdated equipment, if they were to use a phase 1 call and it goes to the wrong 911 center, they're not able to take the information from your call. They have to actually forward your call, and then in a lot of instances, if it's a car accident, the 911 center takes the information for the fire department, and then they have to transfer you to the police to have them also notified. And in Luzerne County, Pennsylvania, where I was a firefighter, they get 45,000 calls a year, and the population there is only 320,000 people. And they have to dispatch 178 different organizations for police, fire, and medical, with only 11 dispatchers. And finally, the manning for the 911 centers is not very good. And hope you have some feedback for me, and thank you.